Yo, peace. Tonight I want to talk about the metaphysics of pussy, money, and weed. I literally just thought about this like 5 minutes ago and I thought, why the fuck not? Because I don't know, for those who are into hip hop, you probably heard that song before. I'm not going to mention the artist, I'm not here to give shout outs, but it's a connection between those three elements. See, when you think of pussy, the first thing that comes to mind, is a woman's yoni, but also the cat. And the cat is a symbol for feminine energy. Money is also a symbol for feminine energy because, when you think about money, you think about, water and banks and all this. I talked about this and how to make money fall out the sky, but it's basically a feminine energy. And weed, of course, you talk about, 420, 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 resonates with the planet Venus, which is a feminine planet, depending on, what system of numerology you're into. So you're dealing with three elements of feminine energy. Also, another association with feminine energy is the moon. And the moon represents, your psyche or your subconscious. So you have pussy, you have money, and you have weed, dealing with feminine energy and dealing with the subconscious or the right brain, as they say. And the subconscious basically deals with your memory, because your subconscious is basically just a collection of your memories, which are not limited to your current life. This is why if you have dreams, you may be in places you've never been before, but you kind of have been there. You're basically tapping into your Akashic records. I'll talk more about that later, but I wanted to talk about this because I find it interesting, because this is what most people are after. Either you chasing women, you chasing money, or you trying to get high. And all those things are cool, but at the end of the day, we can use these things metaphysically and spiritually to access higher realms. And what I mean by that is, for example, what I do personally is every now and then I give offerings to the feminine ancestors. The feminine ancestors are the gay ancestors, mostly. See, all ancestors were not straight. You get what I'm saying? See, this is an element that nobody really talks about, but they were gay ancestors. If you look on the walls of Egypt, you see male deities with, they look like they have breasts. One of them is the god Hapi, Hapi. You see him when he has like a breast, and people have different interpretations of it, but it represents that most of the gods that we hear about were probably gay. And I don't mean it as if they were human, but because some people say the first humans on the planet were women. And I don't necessarily disagree with that, because at the end of the day, we are not our bodies, we are consciousness. So to say that basically the first energy or the first humans to walk the earth was women, basically we always have been here. We just have been in the form of women or hermaphrodites, where they have both, private parts, or, a dick and a pussy. You get what I'm saying? But that's probably a little bit too deep. But anyway, what I do is I offer the ancestors money, because money in America has the highest vibration, because this is what everybody, live and die for, basically. So to offer the ancestors money, not because they necessarily care about it, but because this is what the idea of money is giving so much energy, that if you offer money to the ancestors, and by offering I mean burning it. What I do is I just, I get a bill. Sometimes it's a 1, sometimes it's a 5, sometimes I go higher depending on how I'm feeling at the time. And I just set it on fire. And of course I say my praises, put the intentions out there, but I just offer money. Because some people offer food or whatever, all types of spirits like different types of things. But I don't think no spirit would not like money, because of just how much energy people give it. So that's like giving them a super boost of energy, just because of how much power we give money. And of course, every time I smoke weed or any drug, I always give praises to the ancestors, to make sure, they get their offerings. And of course, as everybody should, before you have sex, you should make intentions and give offerings as well. Or at least, channel in the ancestors so they can, observe. Because, in the Gnostic teachings, they talk about sex was the downfall of Adam and Eve, because before they ate from the tree of life and started fucking, you basically had to go to the ancestors and they would guide you in the correct manner to, bear children. But when people ate from the tree of knowledge, people just started fun fucking basically. And of course it's all metaphysical. We can get into the metaphysics at a later date, but I'm just kind of throwing out a concept out there just because I find it interesting, and just to show people that I talk about whatever the fuck I want to talk about. I'm not limited to just talking about certain things, even though like my most popular videos are either about manifestation or money. But I feel I'm gonna expand it. I'm gonna definitely talk about things that most people probably are not even thinking about, and talk more about spirits and just the darker elements of life, because everybody wants to avoid it. Nobody really wants to talk about the truth. I call it the truth, because just to talk about just positive thinking and manifesting shit that you really don't need, I feel like that's kind of wasting time. And now I throw this bonus into this clip. I want to talk about negative thinking, because that's what everybody tries to avoid, right? If you watch The Secret, basically, because that was most people's introduction into spiritual thinking, and it's basically talking about think positive and don't think negative. But I actually encourage people to think negative. I encourage you to think negative. I encourage people to face their fears, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like you're just running from your own thoughts, because we all have negative thoughts and you can't really escape it. So to try to avoid thinking negative is kind of impossible if you really think about it, because it's really dealing with whatever fears you have. And I feel like that's a call to deal with your fears instead of trying to just switch your mindset and act like you didn't just have those thoughts, knowing damn well you did. And in the Tibetan mystery schools, what they would do is they would have the students go to sleep thinking about the worst way to die. And they would have a dream about it, and it would actually help them get over their fears by thinking about the worst case scenarios. And I encourage that. I encourage whatever someone may fear, go to sleep thinking about your greatest fears and actually see how they make you feel in your dreams, what type of dreams you have, and what kind of thoughts they arise, and you kind of trace it back to where it may have originated. And it's just dealing with yourself and evolving to the next level, because it don't matter how spiritual we may become, if we do not deal with our fears, they're going to always be around. They're not going to go anywhere. So to actually deal with them and to be civilized about it, and not fucking blowing up at people and allowing it to come up and not really necessarily knowing what's going on, it's completely unnecessary. And it just quickens the spiritual process when you actually just accept reality for what it is. Life is very fucked up, but life is very beautiful as well. And the point is to not be on the good side or the bad side, but to be right in the middle, to accept both sides holistically and fully. Don't choose, because if you just try to think positive, you're thinking death. Because just take a battery. A battery doesn't just have one charge, and we just don't have one charge in our bodies. We have masculine and we have feminine energy. It doesn't matter what your actual gender is. We have both energies flowing through us at all times. So to completely avoid negative energy is ridiculous, because it's impossible. Just like to think negative all the time and never think positive is a waste of time. So I just encourage people to think negative. Pussy, money, weed, pussy got good protein. Those of you who don't eat it, step your game up, because it's actually one of the most spiritual things you can do. give money to the ancestors. You know what I mean? It don't have to be nothing, big. You can just burn $1 every now and then just to show to yourself and prove to yourself that money doesn't run your life. And money is not your motivation. Your motivation is to evolve spiritually. Not necessarily a certain destination, just to live as spiritual as possible and embracing both sides of life. And of course, with the weed, you know what I mean? For those who indulge in drugs, you know how it is. You know what I mean? Give the offerings to the ancestors and just live more spiritual. So I just, that's just real quick. That's just, random thoughts. So, you know what I mean? Hold it down. Peace. Hotep.